Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Rachel Luna is back on the show. I feel like this is maybe your 3rd time.
I feel honored.
At least second. So many times I've lost count.
And also we talk pretty regularly.
We do talk pretty regularly. Yeah. So I do get all of the details, which I am so honored to, and just honored to have you on the show for this particular series, because this is the Make Some Noise series where I've hand selected some very amazing, phenomenal women to come on, women that I know are making noise in their life, hence these questions. So are you ready?
I'm so ready, and I've done 0 preparation, so this is going to be good.
It's going to be very organic. Okay. The very first chapter in my book is about taking up space. So I want to know, from your perspective, what does that mean? How do you describe it when a woman is taking up space?
Yes. For me, when a woman is taking up space, she's allowing herself to be seen. She's allowing herself to be heard fully. So all thoughts, all intentions are being fully expressed from start to finish. And we're not looking at the clock. We're not checking to see like, oh, was this group coaching call all about me? Oh, did I, spend too much time in this email? Did I take up too much time on an IG live? Or, when we go in and we say something like, and I've done it myself, by the way. Same. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I don't want to bother you too much. Like, no, if you're here, go ahead and bother. Like, if I let you in, you have permission to bother. And I also think it's up to each one of us as individuals to set the boundaries to say, absolutely, this is how much time I have available to you. Take it all up. Take as much of it as you need. But at that hour mark or whatever time frame I've set as my boundary, then we'll table it for another day.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you look at it from a perspective also of trust that the other person is going to set the boundary.
Yes, I look at it from the perspective of trust that we are all operating in truth. It's our responsibility to operate in our own truth. And because I've already made the decision that I'm walking in truth, and in order for me to have a safe relationship with the people in my life, I have to be able to trust that they are in truth. So if you say to me, yeah, let's hang out this weekend, or let's get on a call at 2:00. That time is for me. You set that 2:00 aside for me. I'm going to come in and take that space. If you set the 2:00, but you didn't really mean 2:00, you meant 3:30, and I call you at 2, or you message me and say, oh, can we reschedule? No, we can't. You said, you gave me this time. You know what I mean? And that's not to say like things don't happen. I've had to reschedule things as well, but I want to be able to take people at face value.
And try. Yeah. I love that. And it is, I love that you pointed out that it is about like trust that the other person, if they don't have the time, they're not going to say that they do. They're going to say, so trust them. Okay. Let's talk about, which I feel like is one of your favorite topics. Let's talk about self-confidence.
How
do you define it? Because I know this is a big part of your brand and the work that you do. How do you define it?
Okay. Well, fun fact is I'm really overconfidence. Like I'm over the topic of it.
Oh, really? Like you're burnout? You have confidence burnout?
I have confidence burnout because people look to me to have the answers for their self-confidence. And the reality is like, I have 0 answers. I have no key to unlock your confidence. Only you have that. And for me, when I think about like, what does it mean to be self-confident? It is really about believing who you say you are, right? And so if you don't believe, if you say like, I'm a confident woman, but you don't believe you're confident, well, then no wonder you're struggling. If you say, I am goal oriented, but then you don't actually set goals, of course you don't feel confident. So for me, it's always going back to that identity. What do I value? What do I believe? And am I operating in those values and belief systems that I've said define me?
So it sounds like staying in integrity to yourself.
Always 100%. And so there are two paths of this confidence conversation, right? First is like, what is confidence? And then what is self-confidence? So confidence is the belief in something. It's having faith, trust, and belief in something. It's going to happen. It's going to be fine. At the end of the day, you're going to survive. Self-confidence is believing and trusting in you. Like, do you actually believe you can pull off the dreams that you have? Do you actually know what steps you need to take for the day, or at least who to turn to help you figure out those steps? Like that, those are the components of self-confidence. And I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people make when pursuing self-confidence is, as I said at the beginning, turning their attention to someone to help them find it or develop it or whatever. And listen, I've been selling confidence for years. So thank you for keeping me in business. But now I'm at the place of like, I don't want to keep selling people something that they already have in them. Mm-hmm. I'm in a whole new place of integrity. Don't come to me for confidence. Come to me if you want to learn how to journal. Come to me if you want to learn how to open up your mouth and speak your truth. Come to me if you want to have a good time or you want a community. Do not come to me to give you the answers about you. Mm-hmm. And don't go to anybody else either.
In my opinion, and then I have the little asterisk steps. Andrea has keynotes around self-confidence.
I mean, me too, though, right? Like, but here's the thing. Let's be clear about this. I do help people feel more confidence, and I do help them unlock it by asking the questions. I think that the conversations around self-confidence are important. Those keynotes are important. I just want to make sure that for the person listening right now, that you remember that at the end of the day, after you've consumed all the content, after you've attended every live event and watched every keynote and joined every program, that at the end of the day, all of us, we're just giving you a sample from the buffet. At the end of the day, you have to take every flavor that you've tried and create your own recipe. You have to make your own main meal. And that is what I hope I'm teaching women and men to do, and non-binary, and however you want to associate. But it's all about like, what is your plate filled with, and what did you make?
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. And here's my take on it. And I think we're slinging the same thing. My rule of thumb is look at what you're consuming and purchasing and listening to. And hey, like, we're in the industry, like, please continue to buy our books and listen to our podcasts. And what are you actually doing in your real life? Because what I have found in my 4.5 decades on this planet is that self-confidence comes from like your real and actual competence. Like, are you competent doing the thing that you either, are trying to get better at, or that you want to do more of? And, that's things like your career, hard conversations, being vulnerable, things like that, your skill set. And then also, are you taking action on difficult things? And this doesn't have to be grandiose, giant things like going to medical school, in your 50s or something. Like, these are small bits of action.
Keeping your closet clean.
Yeah. I'm good at that. I'm competent. That's one thing.
I'm horrible at that.
ADHD people, like, we're very organized about certain things. And then you should see my desk right now. My closet is immaculate, but my desk is like, there's an explosion.
Okay. So my kitchen cabinets right now, pristine. I have ADHD too, right? So cabinets, pristine. Laundry room today, sparkling. Don't look in my closet. Please don't go into my bedroom
We're
closet.
opposite. Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, the small thing, like take action. Take action is what I'm trying to say. And I cannot guarantee it's going to work out. You might fall on your face. You might get fired. They may say no to your promotion. The self-confidence comes on the other side when you start to build resilience and you know that you're not going to die.
Yes.
Doing the thing. And you're like, oh, I lived through it. Oh, that sucked. It did, but I tried. I was brave.
Yes.
And I went for it. And I could have just sat on the couch instead. That's really the recipe. To me, like that's it. Just those two things.
I agree. And so I say that all the time. Like confidence is knowing you're not going to die at the other end of it. Mm-hmm. You said competence. I think it's also your belief in your ability to develop competence.
Right. It's that growth mindset.
That growth mindset. Hey, Carol Dweck, shout out to you.
Get it, Carol. We're on a first name basis, me and Carol.
You know, me, I don't know her, but in my mind, we are. We're best friends.
Yes. Competence is, I have had so many conversations with women, with my clients, that their resume is long and all of their skills, but they're still feeling that, the imposter complex and things like that. Do you encounter a lot of women like that?
I am that woman. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, tell me about that. What do you think that's about?
Yeah, well, it all comes down to the programming that we've had, or whatever's been imprinted on us from not just children, but and I write about this in my upcoming book. But I write about the fact that our beliefs can be imposed on us at any age, whether we are babies, newborn babies, or 40-year-old women. And so for me, the imposter syndrome is something that I navigate depending on the day. And it's not that I don't in my core believe, it's that I'm just afraid in that moment. My friend Marshawn Evans just said it great, and I wrote it down. She said, people don't struggle from a lack of clarity. They actually suffer from an abundance of doubt. And I loved that, right? So to me, when I think about the imposter syndrome, it's not that I don't believe in who I am. It's just that I'm afraid that I'm going to be able to fully be who I truly am on that day. Or I'm afraid that I'm going to be able to execute, because you talk about taking action, but it sounds so simple, right? Like just do it. Nike said it best, just do it. But it's
one of those easier said than done.
It's a simple thing that's hard to do, just like journaling, which I talk about often as well. So when I say like I am that woman, I just mean none of us are immune from imposter syndrome. And it's just something that we learn how to manage over time. So for me, when it comes in, I'm like, oh, hi, welcome back. You've come for a visit. There you are. Let's have a conversation. And so like, there I go. Oh, my journal fell on the floor, but here's another journal. They're all over the place. I'm surrounded. I go into my journal and I'll ask, like, what are you trying to tell me? Fear, why are you here? Imposter syndrome, where do we not feel enough? And I always look at it as a we thing, which may be a little Sybil-esque. Do you remember Sybil? The woman who had like
all those personalities?
Yeah. But I look at it as the we is who I am as an adult woman in conjunction with the child in me that is running the show, right? The programming from all my past trauma. So it's like, what are we doing today? And what's the fear? Where do we need more support? Where do we need more comfort? Where do we need to really express our truth? Where have we been inauthentic? Where have we been out of alignment? And I literally just read a post before I got on the call where this young woman was saying, these are the words that coaching has ruined for me. And alignment was one of them. And empathy was another. That she had said those words had been ruined for her. And I felt sad for her because I remember, and I'm going to sound super ageist, and I don't mean it to be, and I definitely don't mean to be condescending, but I remember when I was her age and I had experienced trauma from the online marketing world and from the online coaching space. And those words did trigger me because I did not fully understand what they meant. And this is why I am so passionate about looking up the dictionary definition as well as the origin of the meaning of words. Because now it's like, I look and I think about getting aligned with that inner little girl who's in so much pain. And I have so much empathy and compassion for who I was when I was doing things that made me feel shamed. But we can go off on a tangent there. I've lost my place.
Well, I want to circle back to something you were pointing at, and I want to explicitly point at it, and that is self-compassion, that you have made that a part of your, it sounds like, you made it a part of your journaling practice, made it a part of your just your personal growth in general. Because what I see sometimes in this, when people dive into personal development, is they beat themselves up when they figure out how much doubt they have, when they figure out how much work they need to do on themselves, or make up how much work they need, how much trauma they have. Like, oh, I'm such a mess. Like, will I ever get my shit together, et cetera, et cetera. And like, you can't beat yourself up into a better life. You can't bully yourself into happiness. So did that self-compassion come easy for you, or has it been a journey?
No, it did not come easy for me. It came, oh God, I can't even tell you what it was that, oh, maybe I can actually. Thanks for this question, because what was it? I mean, maybe it was just 2 years ago when I got diagnosed with breast cancer that I realized, like, look, guilt is a very toxic emotion. It's so hard on the body. Anger is a toxic emotion. All of these things, if you look at how emotion affects our health, like our physical health, and how it contributes to disease, you will find pages and pages and pages of articles of how these negative emotions break down your actual DNA structure. And when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I was already doing this work in the healing space, right? I was already learning how to forgive myself. I was already learning how to have compassion, but it feels like you're looking down the barrel of a gun, honestly. At least that's what it felt like for me being diagnosed, right? Because you don't know. And I was diagnosed with the most aggressive form. So I had to, in that moment, decide what this diagnosis was going to mean for me. And as I started to look at healing and how these guilt and shame and anger and fear, how toxic they are to the body, I was just like, I'm not going to feel that anymore. And by the way, of course, you still feel those things, but I'm not going to dwell in them, right? When I see it, instead of trying to suppress it or fight with it, I'm going to embrace it. So everything is, what am I missing right now? What do I need? What is the lesson, right? So a lot of people were sending me text messages. And by the way, when you get diagnosed with cancer, everyone messages you to say they're so sorry. And I really, really had a negative reaction to that, because I felt like they were burying me, right? Like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I remember you talking about that on Facebook, and you were like, you're also good at telling people what you want, like how to support you.
Yeah, well, that's a learned behavior, because for so long I didn't, but then I got sick, right? So it's like, you have to learn how to protect yourself. It's all about survival, right? The brain is hardwired for survival. That's why fear even exists. Yeah. That's why guilt exists. Did you know that guilt is really there to help you change the patterns that are not serving you?
Change behavior.
So it's all about changing the behavior, right? So for me, I was just like, I'm not going to live like this anymore. This is dumb. It's making me sick. So what is the alternative? I can heal from cancer and not learn a thing and then get sick again, or I can just embrace, like, everything is here to teach me something. And it doesn't mean that when fear comes up, or imposter syndrome, or insecurity, or doubt, or shame, or guilt, or whatever emotion that sort of cripples our ability to take action, don't even think for a second that I'm like, oh, what's up, fear? You're back. Mimosas, green juice.
I've missed you.
I missed you. No, I cry. In fact, look, here's a page out of my journal from just 4 days ago, May 21st. I'm so freaking frustrated. I want to quit. F social media, F this whole online marketing. What's your promise? BS. Literally, I was so mad the other day. I don't even know what I was mad about. By the way, just a little quick thing. It's really important that you get your blood work done, that you test your hormones, that you check that your vitamins are not deficient, because sometimes those things will create anxiety, will create stress and pressure. And you think you're upset about a social media marketing promise. I was like writing sales
Some
copy.
marketing bro.
Some marketing stuff. And it's not. Guess what it was? My vitamin D was low. I got a vitamin D shot. I was like, oh, the world is great. Life is good.
Oh, wow.
I got a Myers cocktail because I was low on vitamins. I got a Myers cocktail and a vitamin D shot, and I was on top of the world again, right? But here I was. I wrote it in my journal. I cried like the ugly cry. And then you know what I did? I sent a text message to 2 trusted friends, and I said, can I lean a gentle vent on you? I need help. I need support. I'm in a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
What if you just admitted that you're in a freaking spiral and you need some freaking help? Like, I am over, OVER, the facade, the fakeness in this online world. This is why people are getting sick, because we're not talking about the fact that I am over here breaking pens and ripping pages out of my journal, so pissed off. And, not giving ourselves permission. No, I mean, I'm done for now. Who needed that? Who needed that permission slip?
I love this last little bit that you just did. And partly because like I've known you for a minute, like I've known you for several years now. And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like I may not be right here. I feel like, I don't know if it was a combination of, you turning 40 and being diagnosed with breast cancer. Like, it seems like you are officially like out of fucks. Like,
so, what's so funny though? This has been brewing. My friend Andra Bolin said this to me. I want to say this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
She's great, by the way.
We'll
link
fantastic.
To her. People need to follow her on social media. Mm-hmm.
Andra Bolin is fantastic as a woman, as a sales coach, as a friend. Can't speak highly enough of her. But anyway, so we were talking and I was like, I just give 0 Fs. I'm done. And then she said, well, that's not true, Rachel. You actually do give deep fucks, right? That's what she said. And the reality is like, I give 0 Fs about who I offend, right? In terms of like, if my truth offends you, I'm sorry that my truth offends you. I'm open for a dialogue, but my truth is my truth. And I'm open to seeing your perspective. I'm even open to maybe amending my truth. I reserve the right to change my mind at any time.
I'm open to thoughtful feedback. That's what I tell people. Right.
Yeah, that's a great thing. But I do care deeply about other people finding their path. I care deeply about that. I care deeply about helping other people speak their truth, right? There's a question on my board here. Many people have asked me this question in one way or another, but I always write it down because this is what I'm always thinking is, how do I help them solve this? How do I do and say what I want without hurting or losing people? And the reality is that we are going to lose people.
Yeah.
We are going to lose them. But I want to help you feel good saying and doing what you want and losing people if that's what should happen. So I give no fucks and I give many deep fucks. It all depends on the day and the moment.
That's what I wrote about in How to Stop Feeling Like Shit. Like it's really about figuring out who the people are and what like the causes are that you care a lot about. Like I always say, like have a medium amount of fucks, like you, and to the right people and causes and things like that. But yeah, it just sounds like you are super clear on what that is. And that was another question I was going to ask you about about asking for support. And it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like you have a core group of people that you can lean on. And I say that all the time. I give that advice out. I'm like, have 1 to 2, 1 to 3, ideally, of like these close people. My friend Amy and I, we message each other on the Voxer app, and we're like, I need to tell you all the things I'm mad at. And it's just sometimes a 5-minute long diatribe of mundane, dumb things. I started my period and I ruined my favorite underwear. And I don't want to try to bleach it out because I'm lazy.
Damn it.
Just stupid things like that. And some bigger things too about like what's going on in the world. And sometimes there are tears and sometimes there's just frustrations. But when really big stuff comes up, you can turn to that person. One of the chapters I write in Make Some Noise is stop acting like the lonely only. Like we romanticize hyper independence.
Yes.
Were you ever like that?
Yeah, of course.
Because I feel like you were.
I was totally like that because my fear was if I don't look like I have it all together, if I am not strong 24/7, people will stop coming to me. They won't need me. They'll think I'm not the real deal. It's going to hurt me to not be everything to everyone all the time and only strong in front of everybody. And actually, this ended up causing a lot of problems with my husband because I was so strong in front of everybody, I was having a bunch of meltdowns in the house and I was constantly breaking down in my own home because I couldn't do it anywhere else, right? And I remember he said to me, and oh my gosh, this hurt my soul. It felt like he punched me. You might as well have just punched me in the stomach, really. He said, I feel like you're so good at helping everyone else, but you can't even help yourself. And if only people could see how you really are behind closed doors. And I just thought like, that's my biggest fear. That's my biggest fear, that people will see me broken down and will think that I can't help them because I'm having a moment of weakness. But the reality is that we are here to help each other. So the same way that I can be listen, I am a fantastic coach. No one will ever be able to tell me otherwise because I love what I do. I care so much about my clients. Like I'm brilliant at what I do. And also I need brilliant coaches to help me work through my own stuff. We need each other. No one is immune.
So what happened after you had that conversation with him?
I called him an ass.
You punched him in the face.
Kicked him in the nuts. No. After that happened, it wasn't overnight. It actually probably took maybe like another good year of me trying to figure out what his words meant to me and how I was going to, whether I was going to accept or reject them. And then finally, I was working on finding my own voice. So here's the thing. I've always been outspoken for other people. I'm like, I'll take up a picket fence. I'll get into fights for other people, but I never really was out there like fighting for myself, championing for me. I was always, and even in my business, right? My first 6 figures that I made in business wasn't selling my own stuff. It was me hyping up other people and being an affiliate, right? So I'm the ultimate hype woman for other people, but I wasn't a hype woman for myself. And so I'm so grateful that my husband has said a lot of dumb things over the years, but all of them have led me to a new level of growth. And so I'm really grateful for his candor and his willingness to give himself permission to offend me, right? And that's what I'm all about, like permission to offend. So it took about a year for me to find my own voice and advocate for myself. And then I went and I told him, look, you're right. I do break down at home, but I need this to be a safe place for me to break down at home, right? Other people are leaning on me. I need to be able to lean on you. And let me know if that's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me know now.
Let me know now. And it opened up so many more conversations for he and I. And so there are
That's good.
some things that my husband is available to support me on. And there are other things where like, absolutely not. He's going to be good for nothing. And I wanted to bring that point to what you said about having like one or two friends. I actually have a ton of friends and they're all in different little buckets.
Different categories.
And, yes. And I don't vent to the same people all the time, right? Because you also don't want to fatigue your core. So it's like, I know if I have like a business vent,
you ration.
I ration my vents. I ration them.
I love it.
Yeah. Because I think it's more because I have so much empathy and compassion for coaches out there who we are the dumping ground, right? Like we are the collection pile. We hold the space for everybody else's things.
The complaint department.
We are the complaint department. So because I'm in that space of like constantly getting so much, I know how weighty that feels. And not all of my friends are coaches. So they don't have the training that I have to be able to like compartmentalize or to release or manage it. Right. So I have like my business ranting friends. I have my personal ranting friends. I have like my mom friends that I would never talk business with my mom friends. Like they don't know, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's knowing your lane. And then also knowing that you might be the strong friend for someone, but that person is not your strong friend, right? So I have this one friend who, if her world is falling apart, I am the 911 call. And I'm good because I'm good in crisis. I'm a former Marine. I actually was working on a master's degree in crisis management, but then it's really
know that about you.
Yeah, at Boston University. It's a very, very morbid topic. Yeah, like because you have to plan for every worst case scenario. I didn't like it, but I'm trained in it, right? So crisis happens. She calls me. I'm there. It's no problem. I can go about my day. I had a crisis. I had a couple crises, and I was like, "Hey, this is happening," and her response was like, "Oh, geez, dude, that sucks. Praying for you." And I remember looking at the phone like, "What? And so I realized, but here's the thing, right? I realized I can't go to her for that. But if I need a creative something, if I need a girl's getaway, if I need someone to get on a plane with me in 5 minutes notice, like that's the friend. That's the adventurous, fun friend. And so it's just like knowing who's in your life and how to really build up those relationships so you know who to turn to when you need them, and learning how to express what you need and setting those boundaries.
Yeah. I want to tag on to that very last thing that you just said, because I wonder if there's people listening to this and saying like, I don't have the person that I can call in a crisis. And here's my advice is that look at the circle of friends that you have and see if anyone has potential, and then have that difficult conversation. I talk about this in one of my keynotes about how we don't come with owner's manuals like our car does. Like that would be so much easier just to hand it over and say like, this is how Rachel loves to be loved. Here's how you can best support me. So we have to tell people, we have to tell our romantic partners, our friends, and it's a very select few people. I know I had someone close in my life, and I came to her with a crisis, and then it was a bad crisis too, like on the floor fetal position crisis. And then I realized a few minutes later that she was so upset for me that I was taking care of her. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That happened to me when I got the cancer diagnosis. I remember I got a call from my sister, and she was like, I can't believe you didn't tell me right away. I'm so mad at you. You needed to do this because now I feel this way and and I told her, I said, then this is why I didn't tell you, because I don't have the energy to manage how you feel about what's happening to me.
Just making it about her.
Yeah. God bless her.
Right
She's I mean, I love her. I love my sister, but whatever.
Oh, I have so been the let's make it about me person. Like I am queen selfish over here. Like it is something that I have worked on. Like that is my, in the 12-step programs, they call those character defects, and mine are selfishness and entitlement. So I have to watch myself.
Yeah.
I blame
You
it
know,
on being an only child. Like
oh,
I was an only child of my parents. I have half siblings that are much older than me.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
what
what's
I
my
blame it
excuse? Because I had someone there. But you know what? I've had to learn how to train myself when someone is talking about something, even if like I have a relatable experience, I've had to learn how to train myself to just let them share and then just remark on what they've shared and not
Mhm.
insert my story and that relatability factor. Look, your
That's
face
hard.
is saying it's, yeah, you know how hard it is, right? Your face was saying it all. I was like, it's so
Did you know that
hard.
that's a trait of ADHD?
Is it?
Yes. It's
Oh.
it's that I forget like what is happening in the ADHD brain to where it's not really a character defect. You know, I really hate that term of being
Mm.
selfish and not listening. It's something else. I mean, I'm not saying like use that as an excuse. Like we do
Yeah.
need better listening skills and being able to communicate in a healthy, reciprocal way, but
I have a tattoo that says, and I will listen.
does it really?
Yeah. I mean, but this tattoo means so much to me. But it's interesting. It has so many triple, quadruple entendres than the original
Than just
meaning
face
of why I
value.
got it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have one more question for you before we wrap it up. So, talk to us about resilience. How do you define resilience and how do you practice it in your life?
Ooh, did you know I wrote a book almost 10 years ago called Successful People Are Full of Crap, Courage,
Yes.
Resilience, Authenticity,
Was that the
Perseverance?
R?
That was the
I
R,
did not know that. I remember
resilience.
that book. Okay,
Yes.
so has well, let me ask you this then. Has your definition of it evolved since it's been an entire decade?
Well, to be honest with you, I have not read that book in an entire decade, so who
Don't
knows what
remember
it
what I
says.
wrote.
I know that I do know for sure that there is a part in the book that says like "fake it till you make it," and I cringe that those words ever came out of
There's
me.
a lot of things
So
I wrote too that I mean, I think a lot
yeah,
of people we just grow and change.
yeah, we do grow and change. Okay, but resilience. I'm pretty sure that my definition has not changed, but whatever. What it means to me today is I mean, really knowing and believing that you can just get back up, right? Like you can start over any second of the day. You don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait till New Year's. Like it is just truly picking yourself up, dusting yourself up, taking the lessons from
Mhm.
whatever failure, fall, setback that you've experienced and bringing it forward with you. Um, I love that we are capable of being resilient if we allow ourselves that gift.
If we allow ourselves that gift. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the key is
Mm-hmm.
permission to
Mm-hmm.
know that we are hard. I love how Brene Brown says we are hardwired wired for struggle. Like I don't
Mm.
like it. I don't like that we are, but I remember when I went through the worst time in my life, you know, going through my divorce, getting conned, and my
Mm.
friends, I remember the feeling of discomfort in the room, like they didn't know what to say, they didn't know what to do, and so many people said to me, and I didn't know how to take this. They said,
Mm.
"I don't know if I would have been able to go through what you went through." And I'm like,
Oh.
"What does that mean? Like, do you think that you would have spontaneously combusted? Do you think you would have taken your own life? Like, do you like what I don't understand that." And I try to put myself in that scenario, like would I ever say that to someone? And I think that they meant it more metaphorically. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was just so incredibly difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
my response was always, you know, "What choice did I have?" Like, I had to wake
Mm.
up every morning, and that was my reality,
Yeah.
and for the first month or so, it was like, you know, that, like, twilight phase of waking up and you're like, "Oh," you're stretching, and then you realize, like, the position you are in your life, and you're like, "Fuck." This is I'm not waking up in a different dimension or a different life yet, and it's just I had no choice. Every hour passed, every day
But
passed.
you did have a choice.
To me, I didn't. Like, it
I
just
know, but that's what they meant, right? Like if you of course you would feel that way. Like I have no choice. I have to get on because you're resilient, because you are a survivor. I don't believe that everyone is built to survive. And I don't believe that everyone is.
Tell me more about that.
No, I don't. Um, I, I mean, if everyone was built to survive, we wouldn't have the amount of suicide rates that we have, right? Like, I think that we can be trained to survive, but again, you have to be put in the environment where you have the support, you have the feedback, you have the training, you have the reprogramming. And some people don't get that, or some people get it too late in life.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean, you could just see it, right? Your soul is that of someone who is going to make it no matter what. But that's because you've already at some internal level made that decision. Other people have never even had to battle with the decision, right? They've never even had to make that choice. So they don't even know how they would make it, right?
Yeah.
But if you've gone through trauma, you know, like, okay, I have a choice here. I'm either going to get up and do something, or I'm going to possibly die.
Yeah.
In this pool.
And I also think we have a major mental health crisis on our hands in this country and beyond. I think that so many people really were meant to survive. And I think that they just have been, anyway, that's another conversation for another time.
It is.
But I think that part of my point in telling that story is that I felt almost that it was a little bit shaming, but not that they were shaming me, but like, I felt like, yeah, I did. I got up every day and felt humiliated as to where I was, and had people telling me like, you shouldn't feel this way and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, well, fuck. But I think also that the reason that I felt uncomfortable when people said it is because, like you said, they couldn't fathom going through something like that, and they didn't want it. And it felt a little bit like, you stay over there with your mess of a life, and I'm gonna stay over here because I'm afraid you're a little contagious, and I don't want to ever go through. I don't ever want to face what you are facing right now. It is too difficult. I don't know how I would do it. That's how I internalized what they were saying to me. I don't think they meant it that way.
I didn't internalize it that way when you said it, because I've said things similar to people who've been in situations difficult. I always have meant it as like, you are so strong. I am so impressed and inspired by your strength through this. Yeah. I can't imagine how you did that.
Yeah. I find that so triggering. And my best friend, the one I come to like when things fall apart, knows not to say that to me for a few different reasons. But as someone who was always praised for being strong, and like you had a rough go growing up. So I'm sure you were told growing up.
I am the strong one. Yes.
You were the strong one
the whole time. And that's why it's so hard to then be vulnerable and to be weak, because you're the strong one.
I had the same experience.
Okay. But let me ask you this. What should we say? How do we acknowledge our reverence and admiration for all that you've been through?
I would have loved if during that time, if someone would have looked me in the face and said, I don't know this for sure because I've never been through what you're going through, but it sounds like you're in an incredible amount of pain. And I'm so sorry that you have to go through this.
Because you wanted empathy, not sympathy.
I wanted someone to meet me where I was and just see me for how difficult it was, instead of praising me for going through it. Cause I didn't feel like I was any further. You know, maybe now that it's been 15 years, it doesn't bother me as much when someone says like, you were so strong for going through that. And just because I think I've been through so much therapy and have so much difference between it. But at the time, it made me want to punch somebody in the face because I didn't feel like I had a choice. And it's like, you don't see the terror that I have inside of, you know, being 31 years old. All I wanted to do was like settle down and have kids. Like my biological clock was like slamming me in the face. And, you know, my husband had like gone off and had kids with somebody else. Like that agony, all people saw what was on the surface was why I was getting up every day, putting makeup on my face, going to work, like going out with my friends because I was in survival mode, and they took that as strength. And I was on the inside going, y'all, I am struggling. That doesn't even begin to tell you what I am going through. That's what I wanted someone to acknowledge, because that's how I built resilience. I didn't have it yet. I hadn't gone through it. I did not mean to go off on this tangent on this interview.
I love that. No, I love that. And I see you. And I'm really grateful that you shared that with me, because we never know what thing might come at us. And now I have a new tool as your friend to be able to support you and to just look at you and say, like, girl, I see you. I can't even imagine.
It has given me a new level of empathy for people. You know, I have a friend who's going through a terrible time with one of her children and her child's mental health. And I can pause and hold her feelings with reverence and witness the darkness that's happening.
Yeah.
And it is deeply uncomfortable for me because I want to fix it. I want to tell her how strong she is and that they're going to get through it, which is all true. But when someone is in the weeds,
I get that. I just let me be in the weeds. Just say you're with me. Who said it? They said, like, you know, you're either at the top of the hole and they're in there and saying, like, you can get out, you got this.
That was Brene.
You're like in the hole too, and you're with them. And it's just like, be in the hole with me.
Yeah, I don't need you to get so deep into where I need to take care of you or where we're both stuck in it. I just need you to see me in it. And it's a skill. Like that kind of empathy is a skill. And I don't mean to blame and shame people who did their best to show up for me. Like it was something that none of my friend circle had experienced yet. So I get it. Like I wouldn't have known how to act either. I wouldn't have known what to say either. But I hope that in retrospect, I can help people who both are in a difficult situation or have a good friend or family member who's in that difficult situation. Because on the other side is resilience.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you should make that a carousel on Instagram of like, here's how to observe someone in a hole or something like that. And just keep sharing that story often. And then we need to share it out so that we can all learn, like, hey, this is another way. And then here's where I really believe we all get to even take it up a notch and take it to the next level is, I see that you are in some sort of a crisis. How do you need me to show up for you?
Exactly.
Or us in a crisis saying like, okay, I know that here are all the tools. This is how I need you to be, which is what I did, right? Once I started getting all those, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm not available for this. And so whenever anyone would send me a message to say, I'm sorry, I would just forward them that post and say like, these are my guidelines. These are my rules of engagement.
Rules of engagement with my breast cancer diagnosis.
That's right.
Here's the PDF.
And follow it to a T or unfollow and get out.
Or you won't get a text message back.
Oh, good luck with that in the first place.
We're both bad at that sometimes. I think it's so, and I want to add this. I want to add this on too about asking for what you want. And then also asking people like, how can I support you? If someone says, I have some suggestions. Do you want to hear it? Be brave enough to say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are people pleasers and we'll say yes, even though we just want to be witnessed, so my best friend, we do this. And sometimes like I'll tell her about an argument or disagreement I had with my husband and I'm venting and she'll listen and then I always know when it's coming, she'll take a deep breath and she'll say, I have some thoughts. And I know that's code for you're also in the wrong, Andrea. And I'm about to point it out. And I said, no, I don't want it. 24 hours.
My best friend and I always say, what kind of friend do you need me to be right now?
Yeah, that's another one. That's good.
And it's like, some days it's team me. Team me all the way. You are on my side. I don't care if I'm wrong. You better be
Get
in
out
it.
your fiery torch.
Right. And I love it because as soon as either one of us, we just go in, the petty meter goes up to 1,000. And, and then other days they'll be like, no, you can, be real best friend. And then real best friend will come in and say, well, wait a minute now from, from what I'm hearing. So listen, we are all evolving and growing. And this is where just having that confident conversation comes into play. This is where allowing yourself to make some noise really helps us get to that next level of understanding and growth with each other.
Yeah.
Can't wait for your book.
I just love you. Thank you.
Love you, friend.
Oh, friend. Okay. So, tell everyone, I'm also going to post the link. I know you've been on at least once. And then in that episode, you talk about your background for people to get some more context. And then, let's also tell people where to follow you on social media, because you have a book coming out in the spring.
Yes, I do. It's called Permission to Offend. Here's a little
so beautiful. Did you print that out for people that are just listening to this? We're on video here too.
I did. I printed it out.
Manuscript.
I have a manuscript. I read it out loud to make sure that it sounds right and that there were, little things. And I've gone in, I do the work myself. Like I have exercises in it and I do the work myself. Well, because I have to make sure. And it's a good thing I did, because I noticed in one of them, I was like, wait a second. I don't feel good right now. Like I was in it and I was there. I was like, oh, and then I just jumped off to the next topic. I was like, how dare I leave my reader in this dark hole? Like, let's fix this. And
that's good.
So yeah. So
it's Permission to Offend. What's the subtitle again?
We're still working on
subtitle.
It. Okay. It's a working subtitle. I don't even want a subtitle. It should be Permission to Offend. Read the book and you'll see what I mean.
I wanted How to Stop Feeling Like Shit subtitle to be, I wanted it to be How to Stop Feeling Like Shit, a guidebook for women. They didn't like that. Said no. That's the part of traditional publishing. They want to tell you exactly what the book is. That's what a subtitle is.
Yes. I had a subtitle. Michelle didn't like any of my subtitles. And so
particular.
She gave me something and I don't even know what it is, but whatever. But you can find me on Instagram at Girl Confident. You can also listen to my and subscribe to my podcast, also called Permission to Offend. And you can join my journaling program, myfaithactivated.com.
myfaithactivated.com and Girl Confident on Instagram. Those links will be in the show notes. And of course, we'll have Rachel back on when her book is coming out. And thank you, everyone, whether you are watching this on YouTube or listening to the audio as per usual, thank you so much. And remember, everyone, it's our life journey to, what is my sign off? It's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. That's what it is. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.